So without further ado, we come to our opening keynote, session 1, hashtag India in the decade of the 20s, imagining a smarter economy. The focus will be on bringing people and limited resources together and creating new jobs augmented by technology. To tell us more, please put your hands together and welcome N. Chandrasekharan, Chairman of the Board of Tata Sons, to deliver the keynote on imagining a smarter economy.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the media. It's a great pleasure to be back on the nasscom's premier forum, NTLF, and share a few thoughts. My topic is very much relevant with the topic of the conference, Tech in the 20s, Coming of Age. My topic is imagining a smarter economy. Over the last a decade or so, we have already witnessed a significant impact of digital technologies, especially AI and machine learning, cloud, IoT. These technologies are already showing what is possible. They are making significant changes in the way our children study, how business is done in large enterprises as well as small enterprises, and more importantly, how we work. They're also generating an unbelievable amount of data. The entire digital universe is expected to reach 44 zettabytes in 2020, nearly all of which has been generated in the last 2 years. Now AI and machine learning technologies are just beginning to help us make sense with all this information that we have at our hand. But the beauty of this moment is that we are just getting started, and already the outcomes are visible and profound. We have already witnessed huge changes in how we bank, how we travel, how we shop, how we work, how we discover drugs, and most importantly, how we diagnose diseases. For better or worse, over the next decade, technology will be more intertwined with our human life and activity than it has ever been in the past, in the history. That thought can feel like a huge threat, because for every techno optimist, there are many who spend time thinking about what will happen on the downside. The effect of jobs and the impact on government, the impact on the relationship between the citizen and government, and all of that. To me, that is the key takeaway. If we want to move forward, and if we do move forward, it has to be by taking people along, involving everyone in the process that will change their lives. That is the first step and a foundation step to building a smarter economy. That's why the theme of this year's conference is very, very important, because our vision for 2030 should not just include software professionals and other white-collar workers. It must include everyone, the farmers, the doctors, truck drivers, rich and the poor, literate and the illiterate, adult and the child. We have to remove this whole halo effect and aura about AI and the fact that, or the misconceived fact that AI is only for the elite, or it's only for the well-read, or it's only for the people in this room. It has to belong to all individuals and all groups and all sections of the society. As we start the 20s and we look at a blank slate, think of the capabilities that we have today and the opportunities these capabilities afford us. We are all aware of many, many examples of how technology is generating data and helping us deliver insights and deliver better solutions, outcomes, results. Even when I parochially look at the Tata Group, even though many companies have not fully leveraged the technology, already they are making significant impact. Even in a company like Tata Steel, how they use watches, intelligent watches, to be able to track the safety, health, and the productivity of workers. And I know many of our companies, whether it is Tata Communication or others, who have connected a lot of cities in India on how we are able to get data between traffic management to facilities management and so on and so forth. There are many examples from TCS and many examples from many other companies here. And so we have seen quite a lot already. But for all of us, still, it is only scratching the surface. We still have so many things to fix. Many things are still complicated in India. Actually, many things are complicated in the world, but definitely more so here. And many things are expensive. And technology has not touched many areas. Still, we have construction projects. Our education is old style, healthcare, even our research, and so on. But if we look at developing markets, it's extremely visible. But if you apply the technology in the right way, all this can be fixed. And everything, I literally mean everything, can become a service. But such has been the impact of technology that it now comes with the standard fear of job losses and worse. Look at many of the graphic and films on AI and automation. People let their imagination run wild. Always it is about shiny white bots picking up boxes in a warehouse, or robotic animals walking on a snow, visions of robots coming for human jobs, mass unemployment, and the unrest that follows. It's a very, very compelling vision, except that it is pretty unrealistic. That's not the way the world is going to be. And that's where the real opportunity lies. If you really reflect and look at it more closely, all of this narrative of AI taking jobs, I'm sorry to say, comes from advanced economies. Because of their challenges when it comes to issues like aging workforces and markets getting mature, lack of growth, these things drive a view that automation will solve problems of lack of workforce, will induce productivity, will increase profit pool. But actually, if you look at developing markets, we have distinctly different characteristics, totally different. And the technology will play out differently, should play out differently, and we should make it play out differently. In the case of India, I thought I'll take India as an example. This is what I'm going to say is not restricted to India. It is true for other developing markets, and I have a view that it is true for developed nations as well. I'll come to that later on. But if I look at India, I would like to highlight 4 distinct characteristics how the situation is different. First is India lacks markets. Advanced economies have a host of mature markets in which digital transformation is focused on increasing efficiency because access is available to all. So the market is there. So technology is used as a way to drive efficiency. Due to aging workforce and lower growth, technology is focused on driving productivity, reducing costs, and increasing profit pools. In India's case, India doesn't lack efficient markets. It lacks markets themselves. What we will have to do is use technology to put together the market. That will show us growth, that will show us opportunity, and that will create plenty of jobs. That is the first differentiator. Second, India faces a perennially limited supply of skilled resources, human and physical. So we don't have enough infrastructure. You take any kind of infrastructure, we don't have enough of it. You take hospitals, you have roads, you can take airports, you can take power plants, you can take anything. We have got a lack of it. And we have lack of skilled resources. In any of these professions, our average is far from what we should have. Whether it is doctors, nurses, teachers, truck drivers, electricians, plumbers, you take any profession, we have lack of resources. India, I mean, it's a strong statement, but forever will be a stretched society. India will be a stretched society. So we will need to make the most of what resources we already have through a combination of both people and technology. We can't be doing it with people because we just can't train enough people in a quick period of time. And we can't do it physically because we don't have the financial resources and the time at our disposal to be able to build it all out. How much ever you invest is going to take time. So we've got to do it with a combination of people and technology. The third, India's labor market is overwhelmingly informal. Again, there is a very, very contrasting difference. In developed markets, workforces are grappling with the question of what it means when a traditional formal work, because they are 100% formal. What does it mean when a traditional formal work opportunities become more informal with the gig economy? We are trying to grapple with others, the other side. For example, a cab driver in the US becoming an Uber driver. That's the new problem. In India and other developing economies, we need to understand how the future of work will impact a workforce which is 80% informal. And they don't enjoy any consistent wage, they don't enjoy safety norms, they don't have pensions, they don't have contract. And the impact of an informal job becoming a formal job has a huge advantage. It will raise incomes, and it will raise disposable income, and then it will drive consumer growth. So we have a different problem to tackle compared to the West. Fourth, India's demographics demand a different approach to automation and AI. Aging in developed countries drives them to develop technologies that can substitute for labor. The very purpose with which it's being done is to solve the problem of lack of people. In contrast, we are facing a decade where 90 million people are going to come into the workforce. Four times that of US, Brazil, and Indonesia combined. The three largest nations who will add more manpower apart from India, and you take that, 4 times of that, we will be adding. So the problem India has got is not of age or numbers or lack of numbers. It is skills and qualifications. Therefore, our approach to automation has to be deliberately and distinctly different from that of US, China, Japan, or any other country. So we need big ideas when it comes to job creation. But this is not a simple theory. We have done pilots, and we've done a number of pilots in healthcare. Just by introducing a right tech platform which can handle structured and unstructured data get the insights, and use that insight with a physical center and technology augmented workers, ASHA workers, we have seen a significant impact. And it's not a small sample, it's a large sample. Basic outcomes are you can improve the productivity of the experts by 50% because the experts are doing the jobs that the other people should do, but we don't have the skill sets. And today we have an estimated shortage of 600,000 doctors. We believe if you extrapolate the shortage of doctors between now and 2030, 80% of that need can be met by deploying technology in a deliberate way, especially in primary healthcare. And this can be extrapolated to other industries. We have studied 6 industries, and we have not done as much work as is fully needed. Just with these 6 industries, we believe we can impact 30 million jobs. And India is illustrative. The issues of jobs and access to services travel far beyond to the rest of the developing world and also to the developed world. Think of financial services in Africa. Think of education in Africa. Think of healthcare. Why Africa? Think of healthcare in the US. US healthcare requires huge transformation. The primary healthcare in the US needs fixing. Everyone who has lived in the US knows that. And all of that can be done with a tremendous impact. Technology can provide an unprecedented solution to both access and jobs, if only we play our cards right. The spread of automation will take time. All of this is not going to happen overnight. There will be different pace. It will happen at different pace in different industries, different markets. And it will follow a sequence and at the different intensity. Actually, that's a good thing because that gives us time. As long as we study that carefully and calibrate that, we can shape the way these AI and cloud and IoT and all these technologies are deployed in a very, very deliberate manner. We can design for the future. But how do we get there? I have 3 broad things to suggest that we focus on. First one is we need to change how we think about technology. It is not about starting with technology, but about deliberately directing tech innovation on the problems to solve. We've got to decide which problem we want to solve. And we've got to list those problems and take one problem at a time. Otherwise, it is like coming up with a tech gadget and putting it all over the place. Yes, it will find some use, but it will never produce the final outcome. So that is the first one. The second is to clear the path so that technology can be harnessed. AI and data, most importantly, can be harnessed in a way that we can freely use it, we can use it in abundance. In order to do that, we need to ease the challenges, ethical, societal, and regulatory. We need to figure out the frameworks and agree on the frameworks for data privacy, data residency, data localization. A lot of discussion and a lot of different frameworks, a lot of different possible solutions, but we've got to make decisions on those. And the third comes to my favorite point. We need to train people. We need to train people, everyone. Teaching digital is far easier than teaching math, reading, and writing. It's not difficult. Everybody has to be taught digital. Everybody has to be taught AI. The word AI should become a very common word. These factors sometimes may look daunting, but they are not. We We revolutionized India's passport services, transformed the income tax system. The creation of a project with Aadhaar's scale and scope tells us how much is possible. The government-backed online payments infrastructure that we have is arguably the world's best. So we know what to do. We can execute. But we have to think of the problem as a mega problem and then say we're going to solve this problem and not do too many little initiatives. To build a new kind of country and take it into the future, especially a country like India, it is often assumed it requires a lot of budget and a lot of capital. So this centers on a debate about who is going to bring in money. How do we bring in money? Do we need $50 billion, $100 billion? This is actually a wrong track to my mind. We don't need that much money. It is not that difficult. So we don't want to go on the spree of building more and more infrastructure. I'm not saying don't build infrastructure. But thinking that we are going to solve all our problems by building more and more infrastructure is not the way to go. We have got to look at what we have. And we've got to maximize what we have. We've got to sweat what we have. It's absolutely important. We cannot afford, we are going to be, as I said, stretched economy all the time. So we've got to sweat. We've got to make the best use of what we have. We have the best technology. We have the best talent. We've got to make it work, bring it together. I think let me close by saying 3 important takeaways that I would like to leave with you. First, we don't have to look at digital approaches, AI, machine learning, as simply driving efficiency, cost-cutting, profit-enhancing exercises. They have got to augment human capital. And they have got to augment every person. Every single person can perform at a significantly higher level. Tech applied deliberately can solve problems and lead to more jobs. As I said, our studies in 6 industries, we think we can impact 30 million jobs. Second takeaway, it is not going to happen on its own. We have to make it happen by deliberately designing these technologies and apply them to each of our problems. If you know that certain sectors will automate early, faster, and certain others will take time, that's a good thing. And we've got to have that priority so that we don't try and boil the ocean everywhere. And we've got to sequence it, and they will all happen, but happen at different pace at different times. So targeted training and retraining and more training is going to be fundamentally important. Third, I think that is for the people in this room. India has led the way before with software revolution. It can do it again, and it can do it better. It can do it at a much, much, much larger scale. But in order to do so, especially people in this room, cannot just accept the narrative that AI will take away jobs. We need a counter narrative that is supported by facts and belief that fourth industrial revolution technologies will be the thing that India and other developing countries need to address intractable problems of access that has eluded us so far. So to me, what will success look like when we say 2030? I think it is about 2030 that Debjani was talking before. Let me propose some metrics. We should cut our air pollution by half. Provide universal, equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water to everyone. we eliminate malnutrition, move towards a coverage ratio equivalent to 1 doctor per 1,000 people, strengthening the primary healthcare across the country. Every child and youth will have access to education at the same level that will prepare them for the dynamism of the 21st century. We will exceed $5 trillion and $10 trillion economy if you're able to do that. And to my mind, the only way we can do that is by deliberately applying technology. Over the next 5 years, we have to think about how to make this transition work across all stakeholders, be it business, public sector, IT, non-IT, or the common man. Deliberate action combined with a commitment to long-term thinking will lead to a meaningfully higher standards of living across the country. That is what is needed to bring us that much closer to fulfilling the aspirations of New India. Thank you for listening.